What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 12 of The Race, here with Kingston Sprinting today. We're not taking on Toronto, which is what I said we were going to do last episode. Instead, we're going to be taking on a new challenger that's kind of emerged this year, Orlando City. They've had a great start to the season. Granted, they have played a few more games than ourselves and a few other teams around us, but they are going to be stiff opposition for us today, and you can see in the Eastern Conference, they're currently in second whilst we are top. So this is a game with a bit of significance there. If we just look at the overall supporter shield, you can see Sporting Kansas, they are currently ahead of us, although they have played 3 more matches. There really is a weird disparity when it comes to the amount of matches that each team in MLS has played at the moment. It kind of seems to happen at this point in the season. Obviously, things will start to even their way out. And, well, as you might be able to tell, obviously, by our league position, things have gone really, really well. Of course, last episode we took on Los Angeles. Since then, 5 games, 4 at home. We actually started off with a bit of a disappointing result. We lost 2-1 to New York City FC in a game that I feel like we were the better team in. Jermaine Anderson picked up a little injury. I probably should have made a few more tactical changes. Players were a little bit tired just due to, the frequency of matches that we have been playing. And I believe there was an international break just before this game as well. But regardless, 2-1, just not good enough, really. Fortunately, we did bounce back, and this was kind of an interesting game. We were taking on Dallas. They were right down at the bottom of the table. And I used it as an opportunity to give a few kind of players a run out. So players like Taichi Washington Higginson. We'll call him WH for short. But this guy, we drafted him in at the start of last year. He was one of our early draft picks. A talented player, certainly. Last year was on loan at Tampa. Plays right midfielder, which obviously doesn't really fit into our system. But with this Dallas game, I decided to play a 4-2-3-1 and play a few younger players. So WH was one of the players he played. Austin Reynoso was another player, of course, player we drafted this year in the Super Draft who played. And also, you'll see here, Halliman in goal, the young Jamaican, 17 years old, got a clean sheet on his debut. He's loving it. And you can see here, his determination is currently kind of going up, which is good to see. And that is due to the fact that he's currently being tutored by Andre Blake. Really, the ideal tutor for him, isn't it? You've got a 17-year-old kind of prospect goalkeeper. And, we've got a player 10 years his senior who's the first-choice Jamaican goalkeeper. It's just a match made in heaven there. So, yeah, that was a great little result. 3-0. Dallas, not one of the strongest teams in MLS, but with an experimental system with a few younger players playing. It was a good result nevertheless. Anyway, the next game we had just 3 days later, a 2-1 win against New York. Great performance, very impressive. Ricardo Morris picked up the Man of the Match award. Very, very good performance by him, 26 years old. A player who, of course, joined us last year for a measly fee. And I didn't really know what to expect from him, but he had a very good year last year. You can see a 7.01 average rating. And this year, 2 goals in 5 matches, a 7.38 average rating. Really can't fault him. Anyway, following on from that New York game, 2 more matches. The last of the home games you can see here came against Seattle. We won 1-0. Wasn't the most convincing of results, but we got the win, and that is what mattered. Kazuki Honda, with a goal to his name, of course, the new designated player, the Japanese international. A very good player. You can see 3 goals and 3 assists in 6 appearances. That is the kind of contribution I want from a designated player. I feel like Michael Carrick perhaps didn't offer us that, of course. Was playing that deeper role, which I guess limits his usability going forward. But I feel like Honda really has made a difference for us this year. Anyway, the last and most recent result you can see here against Portland. Disappointing to lose a good little winning run that we were on. We drew 2-2 in this game. Honda did score a penalty. He also missed a penalty to give us a win. Which was unfortunate. You can see Portland went down to 10 men in the 50th minute. They were really clinging on as the match progressed. Disappointing, really. It was an unfortunate result, but at the same time, I mean, we should be winning this game, shouldn't we? That's kind of the reality of it. A team goes down to 10 men, particularly in a game where you have been leading 2-0 as well. But unfortunately, the match did get away from us, and fair play to Portland. They kind of slugged it out well and ended up sharing the spoils with us. So anyway, I mentioned the league table just to look at it here. You can see in the Eastern Conference, we of course have played 5 games. We have 1 draw. We've played 7 games. We've won 5. We've drawn 1. We've lost 1. We're doing pretty well. 16 points in total. Orlando, who we take on today, 1 point behind us. Although they have played 2 more matches than us. You can see Toronto, of course, former kind of champions of MLS. They're currently down in 4th, although they have got a game in hand, which if they were to win, I would see them jump kind of right behind us. So they're kind of on a little bit of a resurgence, actually, at the moment. You can see, looking at their form, it's not been great. You can see the last 5 games, 2 wins. They actually lost recently to DC. In fact, that was earlier on today, which is why I was going to say they're on a resurgence. They had won 2 games in a row, but they've lost that one there. And you can see with that result, actually, DC United moving up to 3rd. So it's looking fairly competitive in our conference. You can see in terms of the average ratings, Ikapara, he's having another fantastic season, the centre-back. I'm really, really delighted to see that he's continuing kind of where he left off last year. You can see a 7.48 average rating across 6 games. That is really, really impressive by him. Hopefully he can continue. And also, Kazuki Honda sneaking up on that list of kind of top average ratings alongside Josie Altidore, a player who I think it'd be fair to say he never really made a mark on English football, but of course a player who has proven himself in MLS at Toronto over 2 spells. And he's doing pretty well. In fact, he hasn't played for Toronto twice. Why did I think he played for Toronto twice? Answers on a postcard, let me know. Why did I think Altidore had played for Toronto twice? I'm getting Altidore and Jermaine Defoe muddled up. I don't know how that happens. Send help. Right, anyway, let's get into today's game. In terms of squad news, there are a few injuries, actually. You can see Daniel Johnson currently out injured, got a sports hernia, out for 4 weeks. Not ideal, of course. One of our big key players. And, well, it'd be fair to say he's been pretty good for us so far. 1 goal and 1 assist this season, a 7.4 average rating. And, well, there's going to be big boots to be filled. And they're going to be filled, actually, by Ricardo Morris. We have also got a few other, little bits of injury. Kasim here, the Iraqi international. Very good start to his time at the club. Really has impressed me. Unfortunately, did suffer a minor injury just a few games ago. You can see he was out with a damaged foot. He's not back to full fitness. So, as a result, we're going to give Kevin Hunt the nod. The Trinidad and Tobago youngster made his debut in the national team for Trinidad and Tobago, which is great to see. I absolutely love the look of this guy. He's perhaps not the most technically gifted of centre midfielders, but his physicals are great. Mentals, he's got some pretty good ones for a ball-winning midfielder particularly. And, well, hopefully he can just kind of develop his technicals and really become a fully rounded player. You can see at the moment I'm training him to be a roaming playmaker, mostly because it hits quite a few of his weaknesses. I think he could be a very good box-to-box player in the future. But a big kind of key component of that is the fact he does need to develop his technicals. He does need to get his composure, decisions and concentration just up a little bit. I feel like a player who lacks kind of concentration and decisions particularly, there's a little bit of I guess, a question mark over them, particularly, you know, if you do want to play them in a more defensive role. So with a ball-winning midfielder, despite the fact they're not considered important, it is something that I would value very highly kind of in a player, is that concentration and decisions. And particularly you can see here as a central midfielder on defend. But yeah, great to see him developing. Corey Binns, of course, another one of the kind of hot young prospects, still out injured. So he's the only other injury besides Daniel Johnson to consider. Although he is kind of coming back to full fitness. You can see looking at fitness as well, it's pretty good across the entire squad, which is obviously great to see. So anyway, let's get into today's game. We're going to be taking on Orlando. They are on a mini resurgence. In terms of our team for today's game, standard goalkeeper, obviously Andre Blake. The back four. We've got Lawrence, McCarthy, Apara and Fisher there, which is great to see. In the centre of midfield, as I mentioned, a little bit of a kind of reshuffle. We've got Ricardo Morris playing that kind of centre mid on attack. That does mean Jermaine Anderson is going to drop deeper for today's game. Very well suited, however, to the deep line playmaker role on defend, which is great to see. Right centre mid, obviously, Kevin Hunt. And then it's going to be our regular trio up front. Kazuki Honda playing that kind of attacking midfielder role. We then have Andre Clennon, obviously playing as a striker, had a pretty good start to the season, 3 goals in 7 games in the league. And, well, we also have Julian Green, who he's been on a little bit of a goal drought, although he did score very recently, so he got rid of that drought. And I'm hoping now, obviously with that goal, with hopefully a little bit of confidence developing, he's really going to be able to crack on and give a good kind of account of himself this year. Because, of course, he is one of our designated players, one of those players who you do expect a lot from. And I really feel like Honda has contributed exactly what I'd expect from him, but I feel like there's still a few questions over Julian Green. Of course, we are taking on Orlando today. I did notice they have got Kaká playing in centre attacking mid. They're going to be playing a 4-2-3-1. Going to have to be a little bit wary of how that wider system matches up against us. They've also got Larin up top, who is a bit of an interesting striker. He's the kind of player I actually think in real life might make a move away from MLS. He's very physically imposing. He's kind of proven himself to be a fairly adequate goal scorer. And I think he has been linked with Celtic, actually, in recent months. So a player we're going to have to be wary of, certainly. But, well, we are on the attack here. Morris, Honda, Clennon hits the woodwork. What an effort that was by him. Honda almost getting another assist to add to his collection. Unfortunately, the woodwork stands firm. But you can see, looking at the stats in this game, we're looking good at the moment. And, well, we're on the attack again here. Clennon cutting inside, passes it across Bendick in goal. Collects it with ease. You can see we've hit the woodwork once. 1/2 chance. We have got to be wary, despite the fact we are having more of the ball and we have had more chances. It takes one opportunity to score. And, well, we might have an opportunity here. Clennon, though, fantastic dispossession by the Orlando player, Shea, there. That was a really nice play. And actually now Larin trying to bring the ball forward, although Ikapara shutting him down there. That is why he has such a high average rating. He wins everything in the air, does Ikapara. An absolute monster for us. And, well, we still have the ball here. I feel like this is a pointless highlight, but I want to big it up. Ricardo Morris. Lawrence probably should do better there. That was a clear-cut chance. The left-back, he found himself within, I guess, sniffing distance of the goal, and he thought he'd have a pop. Kind of wasted the opportunity, really. And, well, at half-time, it's going to be 0-0 here. I'm going to tell the players I'm not happy with that. It's been an okay performance, I guess, from the perspective of Orlando City really haven't created a lot. We have had a lot of the ball. We've looked pretty good statistically, but we've not created a whole lot, and that is a concern. And, well, I mean, Orlando, they've got some pretty good creative players, which we're going to have to be wary of. And, well, there is one of them. Number 10, Kaka, up to Larin. Options out on this left-hand side. Goes back inside to Kaka. Don't let Kaka get it. Nice kind of pressure there. I think that was Jermaine Anderson winning the ball back. Now can we try and make something happen here? We're just going to pass it around the back. We're going to probe. We're going to find that opportunity and look to pounce. And, well, it's Clennon here to Julian Green. Lawrence is on the overlap. Ball finds its way to him. He crosses it in back post. Clennon's there. Lovely, lovely goal that is. Great passing move. We didn't rush it. There was perhaps an initial urge to try and just get the ball up and kind of forward quickly. We sat on the ball a little bit. We had a little bit of a ponder as to how we wanted to break them down. Kamar Lawrence found a little bit of space in behind out on the left-hand side. Nice play by Julian Green to hold it up there. And the ball in is great, but Andre Clennon's run is exceptional. The ball weighted to perfection. Clennon slots it away. It's another to add to his collection. What a goal scorer, really, he has been for us, Andre Clennon. He gets another goal for us here, and that is going to help us now in the second half just kind of settle a little bit more because, the longer that this game remains 0-0, there's like maybe a little bit more pressure on us to try and make something happen going forward. Anyway, Julian Green not having the greatest of games. I'm going to bring in Kalen Hines for him. I'm also going to bring on Kasim, and I'm going to take off... I think I'm going to take off Ricardo Morris. He's not had the greatest of games. I'm going to move Jermaine Anderson into centre mid on attack, and we're going to bring in Kasim to kind of play that deep line playmaker role, which he kind of is very well suited to. I feel like with Kasim, he's not the greatest player when it comes to kind of his mobility. So kind of playing either the box-to-box midfielder or the centre mid on attack. He's just not quite so good there. He can't kind of get up and down the pitch in the same way that, say, Jermaine Anderson can. But anyway, we need to defend here, and that is not how to defend. Kaizuki Honda, I contemplated taking you off. You had a poor average rating. You've been banging in the penalties for us, but now you've given away a penalty to them. And Orlando, it's going to be their third shot of the game. It's going to be from the penalty spot. We need to do this. We need to defend. Can Andre Blake come to the rescue? He goes to the rescue, but there's the rebound. He saves it again. Kaka should have scored. He hasn't. Andre Blake, the hero. I mean, part of me now wants to just take off Honda. What is his average rating at now? It's actually a 6.7. It was lower, I believe, when I looked at making a change earlier. We have been let right off the hook there. Andre Blake in goal. What an animal. Got one last change. I'm going to make it here. I'm going to take off Honda. We're going to bring in Austin Reynoso, the youngster, of course, who we drafted in this year. Kind of want to give him some first team football, similarly to Kevin Hunt, really. There's a few players under the age of 20 who could be absolutely, I think, massive for us in the next few years, and it's vital that I kind of bed them into the first team. I give them the time to develop, and that is exactly what we're going to do here. But anyway, time ticking away, 30 seconds left for Orlando to try and get something here. It's not been a game full of goals unless there's a late one here. There could be, I mean, not with an effort like that, though. Orlando, they're going to be kicking themselves. That was actually a very, very good chance, but... we win. It's 1-0. Andre Blake, the hero in goal. Fantastic play by him. Kamar Lawrence actually got man of the match, the left back. He did put in that fantastic ball for Clennon to score. It's a little bit of a let-off, I guess you'd say, but it's a win nevertheless. And it's a win that sees us move 4 points clear in our conference, which is great to see. Of course, Toronto, I still feel like the team who we're going to have to be wary of, and they have a few games in hand to really try and close the gap on us. Anyway, in terms of when we'll be back, you can see we do have Toronto in just 2 games' time. I'm not going to do that game against Toronto. However, we are going to be taking them on in just over a month. So that kind of works out nicely. We've got Toronto twice to play here. We'll come back for this second game. Hopefully we can get a good performance against them. There's a few tricky games in here. You can see New York City FC and New York. 2 fairly big sides, you'd have to say, but they are struggling this year. Columbus in 8th as well. DC United in 4th, we're going to have to be wary of. New England in 10th. Really, that Toronto and DC games, they're going to be 2 big games for us. But for going at home against Toronto, that is where we will be able to define where our season lies. Are we going to be pulling ahead of the pack potentially? Or are we going to be battling in and amongst the Canadian side to try and get that top spot in the conference? But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up everything from me. Hopefully you have enjoyed as always. If you have, do smash the like button. I do greatly appreciate it. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, thank you so much for watching as always. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out. And you jerk it out.